Welcome, everybody, back to Sportsbook Review. I'm Mike Brenner, and today we're talking with the Puckheads. That's right, NHL hockey. I got Scott Carter in the studio with me, and we're joined from Dana Lane out in Las Vegas. First and foremost, how's it going out there, Dana? How's everything in the Vegas lifestyle?
It's doing great. I'm happy because it's raining today. So it was raining yesterday, too. So that doesn't happen very much out here. So we're all enjoying that.
Yeah, well, I think it's going to rain on the Cleveland Indians tonight. Someone is going to rain on that parade, but that's a different sport. That's a different day.
It's a hockey show, Mike.
That's right. Scotty Carter, how's everything going with you?
Good. Can't complain. No one listens. I don't bother.
That's true. My dad always said, why complain? Hell, no one listens anyway. All right, guys, here we go. Let's throw the record up. That's right. All right, that's right now. That's what the Puckheads are at. That's a combined record. And guess what? This is a marathon. It's not a sprint. So when you see these records, don't get discouraged. And another thing, these are just from Tuesday and Thursday shows. These are the Puckheads. These guys bet hockey 7 days a week. And with that being said, we're going to show their Twitter accounts so you guys can keep up with both of these guys on their Twitter accounts and see what else they got going Monday through Sunday, 7 days a week with hockey. Is that correct?
It's correct, at least my opinion as well, and I'm sure Dana would agree. You don't know who the starting goalie is sometimes until later in the day. Crosby, we're going to talk about that, I'm assuming, in a little bit. Apparently, he's going to be starting today, early in the morning. Today, there was no line on the Pittsburgh game.
I saw that.
It's a really good Florida team.
Well, then it popped out during the Periscope, minus 160, and we'll get to that, yeah.
So
Again,
there's a lot of things that come into that factor.
Absolutely.
Till later in the day, sometimes they make a lot of
absolutely.
well.
And I got to say this is what separates this sport, for betting as compared to other sports. It's that keeping up. It's the late, results. Dana was the one that taught me about you could really find out who's going to be in goal that night, who was the last one to skate off the ice or something to that effect.
First one off.
And I'm a hockey fan, but I wasn't a hockey wagerer, so little tidbits like that are huge. I mean, that's huge for putting in your toolbox to get the weapons to beat that bookie. All right, with that being said, guys, we got a long day today. We got a big day and a long slate of hockey. Dana, what's your first pick and why?
Well, Mike, we try to really pick the best of the best. And although there's 12 games, for me, you can throw out any game that's minus 150 or higher. That I just don't have any interest in that for the sake of manicuring our bankroll properly. So what we're going to do is I'm going to go to the Dallas-Winnipeg matchup. In this matchup, I really like Dallas minus $1.41. I understand that they do have injury problems, and I am leaning on Jamie Benn. And there's guys right now that are not producing that are top elite hockey players in the world, and they are not producing. But what we are doing is we're relying on Klingberg to have a good game. Klingberg, their best defenseman, has 12 points in their last 9 games against Winnipeg, and I think Dallas is going to kind of have to turn into a defensive team, cross my fingers, until they get some of these guys back. They are decimated by injuries, but I still think that they're better than Winnipeg. I'm not a huge fan of Connor Hellebuck, and at minus $1.41, I'm willing to go as high as 5 units on it.
Okay, and it sounds like the bookies are up to date as far as with the injuries also, and still think Dallas is that much better. So because that with that line and you're dealing with injuries, there's a lot of respect there. Hey, I had a question real quick for both of you guys. I meant to ask you this last show. All right, World Cup of Hockey. How did it affect the players and the teams that those players played for, whether it's good or bad? And is there any one player or team that stands out in the aftermath of the World Cup of Hockey?
I don't think so, in my opinion. Not too much.
Okay. Dana, how about you on your end?
Well, for me, I know there's been a lot of talk of these guys that seem to be ahead of the pack when they come back, or that is what was anticipated. But sometimes I think there's another element going on as well. I think a lot of these guys, there's kind of a letdown from playing from the best with the best in the world. And then they go back to their teams, and they're like, geez, my winger is just not as good. And I think there's a little bit of a letdown. So I think we're seeing that as well.
Okay, I think that's an interesting angle to look at. And again, my father always told me the only stupid question is the one you don't ask. And again, I've been a hockey fan my whole life. I mean, I think when I was in the cradle, I think it was a Philadelphia Flyer orange that I was in. But as far as wagering on the sport, this is my second season. So with that being said, let's move on. Scotty, what's your first pick? What do you think?
I'm going to piggyback the same game as Dana was talking about.
Now, did you do some research, or are you just jumping on board because you're just lazy with a pick?
No, I did some research actually,
Okay.
but I'm taking
Hey.
the same game but different bet. Actually, I'm taking the over on that game. Actually, it's a high over. It's 6.
Okay.
And minus 105. I'm taking that one because there's some good value.
Over
in that.
6 at minus 105.
I'm taking it's going to be a high-scoring game.
Wow.
Both teams, believe it or not, just came off a 3-0 shutout home loss.
Whoa.
Both lost at home. I think they're going to come out today, and they're both going to light up the scoreboard. I'm looking at like a 4-3 Dallas victory. So we're kind of
Makes sense because
on that
just your basic hockey wager, kind of like myself that I'm becoming. If I were to look a little into that and see that both these teams were shut out, I'd probably run to the betting window with the under. But it's got to be psychological. Hey, we're underachieving. Where's the offense? So that's got to be absolutely the focus of both these teams. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Okay.
Sometimes that happens in any sport, right? When there's a high-scoring game, the next night the players look for the under, and vice
Fantastic.
versa on this one. So
See,
I'm going to
viewers,
roll the
there's
dice a
where the
little
edge
bit, and
is.
I think it's going to be a high-scoring game. The bookies
Okay.
think 6. You don't get too many 6s out there, and I think it's going to pay off.
I like that. I like that. The book
If I,
knows something.
if I might, guys, to your point about this, I expect, even though that Dallas has an extreme amount of interest right now, I expected a focused effort because 7 of their next 8 games are against the Central Division, and yes, both teams lost 3-0 in their previous game, but Dallas lost to a Columbus team, and that's kind of, I would think, has to resonate a little bit worse than Winnipeg losing to an Edmonton team.
Wow, I like
That
that outlook,
Winnipeg
and
game-
therefore I see where you like Dallas on the edge there, minus the 141. You know what? I like that as well, and nothing against Winnipeg, but I just think, the dynamics of what you just mentioned with those two teams, that kind of makes sense to me. With that being said, Dana, do you have another pick for us, for the viewers?
Well, we got some leans for sure. Florida, Pittsburgh. I mean, we talked about that earlier. That Crosby's coming back today, so that line certainly is. I anticipate reflecting that in the 165 range, 160 somewhere in there. It's just way too high. And
Okay.
keep in mind, Mike, as you say a million times, this is a marathon. Don't. Last night we had 2 games. Okay, so I had to put a game up for the sake of providing something to the readers. So the option was Chicago at minus $1.70. We lost that game, and so there's a big chunk out of your bankroll. So we really want to stay under that 150 if we can.
Okay, I like that, and that's a great breakdown, and that's a good lesson for the viewers like myself, that are new to this and are starting to add this on our menu of repertoire, so, for what we can, beat the bookie. I like that.
Dana and I talked a little bit off air about
Yeah, he
money
told me
management.
about it. He said,
And,
I won't tell you about what he said, but
It
Dana's
bothers
an
me all the
expert in
time.
money management. You should maybe, does he have can he talk a little bit about money management?
well, yeah, we only got a
minute,
short
like-
time in the video, but what I would like for you to do is I would like for us to get together to put together maybe a video series on hockey money management and then having that available through the Twitter. So how about we work on that? Because this is another thing. Money management in this, it's a whole different monster, and I'm sure there's a lot of dynamics and
10
factors.
seconds about it, though, is like you said just a second ago, it's not really much value in last night's game.
Yeah.
Minus 171 on the
Exactly.
Hawks.
That's huge.
That's huge.
And it takes discipline to stick with that. Am I
Yeah,
right? And I've
exactly.
noticed that with you, Scott. You do have the discipline. You've had some big time parlays that have come through, and instead of going, oh shit, I should have had 100 on that. No, you stay focused with what you had, and then you move on. And with both of you guys, I notice you don't live in the rearview mirror. You don't look in the rearview mirror. Okay, move forward,
Exactly,
and that's
yeah.
what it's about. And again, as Dana just said, I always say it. It's a marathon. It is absolutely not a sprint. And if you're in this to sprint, and sprint your ass out the back door. All right. With that being said, Scott, do you have another?
I got one
pick
more.
for us?
Definitely,
All right.
I like this game. I can't wait to watch this game tonight. Tampa Bay is in Toronto. Obviously, any hockey fan knows that Stamkos, their star player, declined to sign with the Leafs in the offseason. They wanted him bad. He walked away from the table, said,
Yep.
I'm out of here. Signed back with Tampa Bay, 8 years, $68 million contract.
Deserves every penny of
Yep.
it.
And they're in the middle of a 6-game road trip. They won 4-1 in Ottawa on Saturday, so they've been kind of laying low for the last couple of days.
Ooh, I like
hanging out
that.
in Toronto. Toronto's been scoring tons of goals. They've been leading almost every game going into the third period.
They're giving up a ton, aren't they?
They're giving up, especially in the third period. The total in that game is only 5.5.
Ooh.
Minus 105. Not a big, huge juice on that game. I'm looking for another 5-4 game, 4-3
Okay,
game.
so you like the
I don't know
over
who's going
again.
to win, but I
Okay.
think Tampa Bay is looking good.
Wow.
I'm just taking the total again.
I like that breakdown, Scott Carter. And you and I talked in the Periscope today. Stamkos is such a, and again, I love hockey, so I always look into players and the psyche. All right, this guy was such a huge hit being hurt last year in the playoff run, and they hung in there like champs. But they said even when he was down, Dana, check this out, that this guy was the vocal leader in the locker room, all right, for this Tampa team. That right there is priceless. Now he's bringing it back on the ice. What are your
He
thoughts
wears
real
the C
quick?
for a reason. He wears the C, yeah. Go ahead. Sorry, Dana.
Yeah, as far as this game is concerned, let's keep in mind if you are going to bet the Toronto Maple Leafs, let's get them early in the first part of the season because they have 6 rookies starting on that team right now, and by the time the second and third month roll around, this will be the most hockey that these kids have ever played. And remember, we're in the era of a condensed schedule right now. So yes, I think Toronto's off to a great start. Obviously, those 3 overtime losses could have went either way. But as the season goes on, I think that they will wear down a bit because these kids just aren't used to playing that much.
Wow, I like it. Guys, I appreciate the breakdown. And viewers, you can catch both these guys at Twitter. All right, Scott Carter is at Canuck Carter. Yeah, it's unfortunate, but he's a Canuck fan. And Dana Lane at Dana Lane Sports, and that's also his website, so check it out. All right, viewers, Dana has the Dallas-Winnipeg. He's going with Dallas minus 141 in that contest. Scott Carter has 2 totals. He's going with Dallas-Winnipeg over 6. He grabbed it at minus 105. And he's going with Tampa and Toronto over 5.5. Also, he got that at minus 105. Line shopping's everything, guys. And don't forget, you can still get some great deals right now on bonuses. So sign up your new accounts through SBR. Follow the Puckheads. Dana, have a great day. Scott Carter, have a great day. Guys, let's get it done and let's keep plowing forward.
Go Canucks.
Yes, sir. Thanks, Mike.
See ya.
Do your research before you bet. Check out our ratings guide to see which books have the best ratings and sign-up bonuses. Open up several accounts. Shop for lines at sbrodds.com. Always be ahead of the game.